In this video, I'm going to go over a little bit more of the features that you can access in Photoshop. I am not going to cover everything. I have eliminated a lot of things, so it looks more like probably your screen, but if you haven't opened anything, or if you open one thing, you might just have one. Uh, like I kept the background, but I deleted the picture in there. And like I said before, you can open right here. You can go File, Open, or you can grab a file that you have somewhere, like I'm going to do right now, and drop it there. Now, that immediately is going to take it here, which is the working area. All right, remember, if you don't know how to set this up, or if you don't know how to arrange the working area or workspace, you can come over here to Window. And right now I have it set up as Essentials. But if you, let's say you want to change some things around, and then you want to create a new workspace, then it will appear here as default because that's the one that you set up. So I have this subject here, this teddy bear. I want to make some changes. So right now you can see it, you're viewing it at 33%, right? Because it's actually a large file. This file, like we mentioned before, anytime you put something here, it's going to give you the dimensions of it, right? So this is a 1224 pixels by 1840. That means 1224 is how wide it is, from this corner over here to that corner. Since it's a typical rectangle, is the same, on the top there and the bottom. The height of it is 1840 pixels. Sometimes right there in parentheses, you're going to see that this is the showing it to you as a web file. A web file is 72 PPI. Like if you wanted to print this, then what you want to do is you want to increase the PPI. For now, since we're just going to work on this, then you don't need to worry. Now, you can see this number over here, but right here where it says the canvas area, you also see the number 1224 by 1840 resolution, that. And then we're not, like, if I wanted to change right now is in scope portrait mode, but I could change it to, to this. But notice that it's telling you if you do that, is the canvas size is smaller than the current canvas size. Some clipping will occur. So I don't want to do that, because what it's going to do is going to try to squeeze it into like a narrow view. So I'm going to say no. But if you had something and you wanted to view it in a different way, so anytime you put a file here, you will get this information default. So when we were talking about the items before, notice anytime you put an item here, no matter what I put, it's going to be marked as background. Photoshop doesn't know what you put in here. It's not that smart. It's pretty smart, but it's not that smart. So it's going to mark it as background. If I don't want this to be background, obviously, I don't want this teddy bear to be the background, but I could possibly want to do something like that. Now, notice that it's locked. So it has a symbol for it's locked. When you want to unlock it, all you have to do is just click on it and boom, it's locked. Now, notice that it changed from background to layer 0. So Photoshop is expecting for you to do other things in here. That's just a little reminder. Anytime you put a file here, you will get all this background. Now, right now, we are seeing also this. We didn't talk about this. I think I mentioned it in the passing. Now, this is right here when you go to this area where we were seeing the same like information that we have here. You can minimize it align in the strip. We're going to minimize it. And then you get to this. These are quick actions. I have select subject over here. I have select subject over here. I have remove background here. I have remove background here. Now, this quick actions, this didn't used to be in Photoshop before. The only way to access it before was just go to the quick actions. You can click on view more and it will select like several different things. Now, these are new. A lot of the things that you see in here, it's pretty recent. Either this version of Photoshop or one before or even one back. It doesn't go really far back. Notice that I don't just have remove background and select subject. Pretty much those are the only things that were available before. Now I have a quick action remove background. How is that different from this one? I'm not sure. I really haven't started testing every single thing. But I can do this, blur the background. Let's say I want the subject to be like really standing out, like in this picture that I have here of this teddy bear. It doesn't really matter. So I'm not gonna do it because it's just a wall behind it. But if I had a landscape and the landscape was a little distracting, then I could do that, blur the background. The same way I had the quick action for remove background, I also have a select subject quick action. Now, when you're doing a remove background, there's got to be a background back there. If you really have something that is like really plain, the remove background might not, do a good job. So let's test this. I'm going to do the quick, since I haven't used it, use this. Let's test the remove background. Now, as soon as you click on that, you get that little, it's like a little circle with a little bunch of circles. Oh, that was pretty fast. It's going to give you an option. So like right now, I like that it's giving me this window that is going, all right. You remove the background. Now, when you do an action, depending on what type of an action, right now, this is called like a mask. Yeah, I just did a mask. So it shows up right here on my layer. I can change it, like I don't like it, or it cut off a lot of different things. Like I don't like these. I don't think they were in the original. The original must not have them since they're here. When you do this is the algorithm trying to figure out. I'm gonna see how much from the background I'm gonna separate this image, and if there is enough contrast between the background and the image you're removing, then it will probably do a good job. So like right now, look at that. Right there, this background between the hand and the jacket, that's pretty good. That's really, really good. Even right there, tiny, probably that tiny. I might have to go probably bigger to see if I actually did a good job. But right now, as a first like try, that's pretty good. If you try to do this by hand, there is no way you can do it in 2 to 3 seconds. I think it was that it just like boop, I blinked and it happened. Now you can do like a bunch of different things in here. I'm not gonna get into those today. I just wanted you to see that there are some quick actions that you can really do to work an image. Like you want to take that image and put it in a different background. Those are like usually lots of different things that when people work on Photoshop, they bring an image like I just did in here, and I might just want to make it smaller, put it on some other location, right? So that is a quick action. Now, other things that you have over here, like, so if you don't want to revert, then you don't touch it, right? You're going to keep it. But you can also, let's say, I actually had a background and I just wanted to move the sky. Then I go select sky. Make the background transparent. Now there is some tutorials over here about masking is not something we might get to it, but it's not a beginner kind of thing. So reveal layers with clipping mask, edit layer mask. So there is all kinds of things in here that you can access. So let's go back. So we just did remove background, right? Now, I want to show you, do that now. What we just did, remember I said this is called undo layer mask. So anytime you do a quick action, you can go to the history, or like my favorite one is usually, I'll just go to edit and I undo it. That's it. I remove the background. Notice that because I did this, my subject is still highlighted, because what they did is select the subject and removed it from the background. Now notice that the mask that I had here is gone, because obviously I undid that action. Now I'm going to click on this right here. The subject is already selected. The algorithm figures, oh, you didn't want the background to be removed? Oh, do you want the subject? It's getting pretty smart. Artificial intelligence is like really awesome. So I'm going to remove the subject now. So this is another quick action on select subject. Now you can do select subject right here on this bar or right over there. All right, so this time I'm going to select it here on the bar. All right, again, you see the little circle kind of trying the algorithm kind of thinking. Now, notice what it just did. It removed it, but the background's still there. But it's pretty much the same thing that it did before. Now, I can turn this like right here, because it's not perfect, so I wouldn't do it, but I can select this and go duplicate this, or copy it, or create, a layer. I mean, there's a bunch of different things in here that we haven't covered, so I'm not going to go too much into that. So I'm going to go duplicate the layer. This window pops up and it's go, all right, you want to be, you want to give it a different name, or now this is a copy. How do I know which one is the right one? Well, you don't, because a copy is just perfectly, but notice what it does in here, because I just removed and copied. What it did is like created like the version of that I had. So let's say, for example, I have a little toy in here, a toy version of the teddy bear. So you can do this. This is pretty neat if you really want to copy an image and you want it exactly the same. Now, obviously, you have to remove it from the background. So this is what I just did in here. So there we go. Let's move me out of the way. I like when I can move my image around. It's pretty awesome. All right, now I'm using this move tool. I'm not going to explain every single little one of these, because then it will take a kind of long time. As we are doing certain things, I'm going to be expanding some of the kind of knowledge that we had, but I'm not going to be covering all of them. So like right there, I'm going to play this quick video.
The Move tool is an essential part of Photoshop, allowing you to move not only individual layers, but entire groups. This makes it a powerful tool for organizing and arranging your workspace. With the Move tool, you can also rotate, skew, and scale your selections. Just make sure the Show Transform Controls options in the options bar is enabled. Once enabled, you'll see transform handles around the corners of your selection. Click and drag these handles to modify your selection. And don't forget, you can quickly access the Move tool at any time by pressing V on your keyboard. The Move tool also has an auto select feature, which allows you to easily switch between selecting layers and groups. To use this feature, simply enable the auto select checkbox in the options bar and choose either layer or group from the drop-down menu. For more precise adjustments, you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard to nudge elements in small increments. And here's an advanced tip. Hold down the Shift key while dragging an element with the Move tool to constrain its movement to a straight line, either horizontally, vertically, or diagonally.
That was pretty neat. You got in there an advanced tip. I like when they do that. An intermediate tip or advanced tip. All right, so we go. So that was the Move tool. The next one is the Marquee tool. So let's play the video too.
The Marquee tools are used specifically to create rectangular or elliptical selections on your image. They're one of the many ways to create selections in Photoshop. To use the Marquee tools, simply select them from the toolbar or press M as your keyboard shortcut. Next, click and drag over the area you want to select. You can use the Marquee tools to move and transform your selection as well. If you want to constrain your aspect ratio, creating a perfect square or circle, simply hold down the Shift key while dragging. To move your selection while creating it, hold down the spacebar. Move it to the desired location, let go of the spacebar, and apply the transformation. If you want to draw out from the center as you drag, hold down the Alt or the Option key. After you make a Marquee selection, you can copy, paste to a new layer, delete, duplicate, or apply effects or adjustments. This gives you the ability to manipulate your selections and create unique images.
Pretty cool. I do like it. I like that tool. All right, so they just showed you about 2 different videos. Now, when we're selecting the Move tool, there was the Move tool and the Arbor tool. Notice that right there, when you are selecting tools, it gives you the shortcut right there, like that's V. When you did this one, it also gives you shortcuts. So that's M. Now, obviously, these are shortcuts for Windows. Now, I work on a Windows computer, so I'm not going to give you here in the videos. I'm not going to be giving you, oh, this is the shortcut for Windows, this is a shortcut for that. But I am going to send you a document that you can access if you want to start using shortcuts. Now, I don't really use a lot of shortcuts. The way I use the keyboard, I have an ergonomic keyboard, and a lot of my stuff is right here. And then some of these shortcuts, like they want you to use this while you're using the mouse, and I don't do that because I'm kind of like a mouse guy or a pen guy. So when I have my tablet, I have it here, and when I want to make anything, I don't. To me, it's not really practical, but some people believe they are. Like I know some people believe on kind of like playing certain games with like shortcuts. I don't. All right, now, so let's look at what we have in there. So he explained the rectangular marquee. He also explained the elliptical marquee tool. And then you have single line row marquee tool. That one doesn't have a shortcut. And a single column marquee tool. So I think the marquee tool is pretty useful, especially if you have like the document that you're working with allows you to manipulate. Right in this one, it doesn't. We were just checking the marquee tool. I showed you that video. Then we have, this is called the magnetic lasso. Magnetic lasso, let's say, for example, you do remove background or you do select the subject and things don't really work out the way you want it. Then this will be your best friend. It is my best friend. I'm learning certain things. Let me see if I can get the little. This one doesn't have a video. So basically, when you're trying to remove something that is not, like the selection that you're trying to do, the subject or the item that you're trying to select, it's not really being selected, uh, then you're going to have to use this tool because manually is basically the best way you're going to, if you get into graphic design or depending of photo manipulation or anything, like kind of like some of the things that we cover in the other video where we're talking about um, different types of graphic designs that you can be. Uh, some graphic designers, they specialize on retouching or redoing certain kind of pictures like like that. Now you can select learn more. So in here you have, when you click on select more, it gives you a few more items to do. And then obviously you have select the lasso tools, erase parts of an image, create realistic reflections on generative field. Like there is a bunch of things here listed uh, for a total of 22 different things that you can investigate in here. For this level, since we are just starting to kind of go over Photoshop, I don't recommend for you to get into this rabbit hole because there is 22 things in here and might start going into certain areas they will be intermediate or advanced. But they're tutorials. They're really not that long. That one is 2 minutes long, that one is 2 minutes long. So I believe in exploring. So I more than encourage you to explore. But be careful if you go down the line and they're too long and then you go, oh my goodness, what did I do? So that's what you have in there. Now we have here polygonal. Last is basically instead of just doing so we have the lasso tool. The lasso tool allows you to like go around this like this shape. Like you can go around this guy, go like want to kind of cut off his head and put his head someplace else, or make it into a sticker or something like that. You don't want the whole body, so you can do that. Now, the poly means many. Gonal means angles. So the polygonal lasso tool allows you to do kind of like the magnetic, but this time you have multiple, you can go in multiple directions. Be careful with when you're using the lasso tool. So when you're doing this, normally in this kind of a figure, because he's kind of hairy, is usually not that good, especially at this size. When you want to really get into so notice what I just did, because I removed away, it created a shape. Don't want to do that. So anytime you're working on, let's say, whenever you did this remove background, this area did not get removed. So you're going to have to create and make this image much bigger. I like right there. I was trying to figure out, what is that? Chocolate dripping? No, those are part of his jacket. All right. So now you don't have to do this, but when you remove a background, sometimes tiny little areas like this, they don't get removed and you can still see the background. So if you're trying to take this image into another location, then that will not be practical because you can still see the background. Now, you can remove this carefully by using the lasso tool. Obviously, you can go in here and erase. So if I wanted to remove all of this, I can go in there and get my lasso, right? And really removed pretty much perfectly this, but I can also come in here now. So I can start going in there and removing this. Now, notice that nothing is happening. Why nothing is happening? When you want to remove things, you have to turn this image that I turned into a layer. You have to do this. Come on. You have to do this. You have to convert this into a smart object. Let's see if it lets me. Oh, yeah. So notice that if you only do one, Normally I do two. I convert it into a smart object and then I rasterize it. Now notice that if I only do one here, it tells me the smart object must be rasterized before proceeding. Editing, edit contents will no longer be available. Rasterize the smart object. Now, so in other words, if I go and make some changes in here, it's telling me changes that you do, obviously you can get them back by just going on do and do and do, but you can also do this. I'm going to cancel it. Before you work, and obviously I have the original of this picture. So if I make any changes, I still have my original. Now, but I don't want to keep going back to my original. What you can do is just do this. I'll make a duplicate or a copy, kind of like what we did a little bit before. So I'm going to go, this is the original. So I'm going to change the name. So I'm going to go original layer. Now I can leave it as layer 0. Oh, I think I'm changing it. Yeah, there we go. So now I have my original layer. Now there is something that you can do in here. You can change these colors. Like right now it's kind of gray, but I can make my original of a different color. Let's say purple. I like to work with colors. Colors are one of my favorite things to kind of work with or add or do in here. You don't have to do that, but if you have 10, 15 layers in there and you have original layers and you have some layers that are not original, then you can do color coding. Now, this color coding is just for you. Doesn't affect anything. But when you start having multiple layers and multiple things in here, you might want to kind of do that. So I can leave this one, leave the one that is copy alone, or I can go in there and give it like, let's say I want to make all my copies, turn it into a orange. It's up to you. Color coding, it's kind of good. Now notice how I'm going from the tool to this other section. When you do certain things in here, they affect the layers. The layers is pretty much anything you're working with. Also remember that when you're working on Photoshop and when you click on any item here, up here you have an expansion of what that tool is. Right? Now, we're not going to deal with those today. Right? So in this video, I'm not going to, try to go, oh, this and that and this and that. We don't want to create a lot of confusion like that. But just to a little remind you that whenever you're doing that. We're not going to get into the magnetic lasso tool, but if you want to learn more about these, just click on learn. You don't need to know every single one of the items that are in there, because not necessarily that you're going to work with them. Now, obviously, if you're trying to figure out what that is and how it works, that would be more like a beginner advanced or beginner intermediate kind of thing. All right, so in this video, I'm trying to kind of do as many tools as possible. So let's get that video. All right, so we have this. It's called the Object Selection Tool. If you want to learn some more, you can go in here. So like right now, notice how, because I'm in there, just like they were showing in the video, it's highlighting certain things. Like this is I have not talked about this before. This is called the Generative Fill Tool. This is brand new. I think it was added in the version that I have of Photoshop or the version that came before, because I was teaching a class about a year ago, and that's when it kind of popped out. So normally in a year, they usually have at least uh, like 2 or 3 versions. Like this version of Photoshop that I'm using right now is 25.6. There's been how many of the there has been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 versions of 25 so far. The one that we have right now, 25.6, is the seventh, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The seventh version on top of the Photoshop 25. So there's been a Photoshop 25.1, 25.2, 25.3.1, 25.4, 25.5, 25.5.1, and 25.6, which is the version that I have right now. So this is something that you can see when you are in the Adobe Creative Cloud. Right? So in here it tells me what version I have and how many versions there have been previously. It doesn't give you the dates, but I think that version 25 was from about a year ago, right? So it is important sometimes to know this in case, and this happened to me about 2 years or 2.5 years ago. I installed the new version and all kinds of things stopped working. Now, that's normally one of the reasons that I usually tell the students never, 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 never install a new version of Photoshop. Wait a few days or a couple of weeks, because if they had issues, then they will fix them. And this is when you get like that 25.0, 25.1, 25.2. Usually is not that good when you have a lot of versions, especially too close to like the release of another version. When that happens, usually means the version was not very stable, or they had so many different issues that they had to create another version to fix the problems they were having. And pretty much all companies kind of do that. Microsoft does that. Apple does that. Pretty much any company that I have worked with or I have installed programs, I always wait like a few, probably like 3 weeks, 4 weeks before I install the new version. Sometimes by the time I go install the version, the update version, there is already another version in there, and that's good that I waited, because like one time when I installed the version like that, all kinds of things stopped working, and I actually had to uninstall it myself and go back to the previous version. So now, and here, I save them. Anytime I have an installation, I never say get rid of everything, because if something goes wrong, I can always go, nope, this is not working. Uninstall it, go back to like the previous version I had, or go back to 2 previous versions that I had before. That is usually very important, not only in Photoshop, but pretty much with any programs that they are constantly updating things. All right. All right. So I did that. Oh, so let's look at what else. All right. So you have the object selection tool. They showed it in the video. Do you have the quick selection tool? They showed it in the video. All of these are www. This is a shortcut. Then you have the magic wand tool. So let's go to the next tool. This is the lasso tool video.
The lasso tools in Photoshop provide versatile ways to create custom selections, perfect for making adjustments or creating masks. These powerful tools allow for quick freehand selections as well as beautiful selections with precise line edges. To access the lasso tools, press L on the keyboard or find them in the toolbar. Click and hold the lasso tool icon to reveal the lasso tool and the polygonal lasso tool. The lasso tool lets you make quick freehand selections by drawing around an object or area. The selection will be just as precise as it's drawn. This tool is ideal for quick organic shape selections. To add to the selection, hold the Shift key and draw around additional areas. To remove parts of the selection, hold Alt or Option and draw around the areas you'd like to remove. While using the lasso tool, hold Alt or Option to temporarily convert it to the polygonal lasso tool, allowing for straight lines. When you let go of Alt or Option, it will automatically change back to the lasso tool. The polygonal lasso tool allows you to create custom straight edge selections by clicking on points around an object. To remove selection points, simply press the Delete key on the keyboard. To close the selection, either double-click or connect the last point to the first one. Holding the Alt or the Option key while using the polygonal lasso tool will temporarily convert it to the lasso tool, allowing for curved selections. When you let go of Alt or Option, the tool will automatically convert back to the polygonal lasso tool.
Awesome. So the polygonal, now I know how to say it. I kind of knew, but I don't know what happened. My brain just like fried. Couldn't say the word that I for sure know how to say. That is one of my favorite kind of tools, especially when you want to work with organic kind of things. See, so he covered that. I don't think there's a video for the magnetic. Yeah. So we have object selection tool.
The object selection tool is incredibly useful for working on objects that have complex or irregular edges. It automatically detects objects that can be selected, saving you a lot of time compared to manual selection methods. To use the object selection tool, simply click on it from the toolbar or hit W as a keyboard shortcut. When the object finder is enabled in the options bar, you'll automatically see an overlay on selectable objects as you move your mouse around the image. To automatically select an object or region, simply click on it. If you want to add an object to the selection, simply hold Shift and click on it. If you want to remove an object, hold Alt/Option and click on the object to remove it from the selection. If the object that you want to select isn't automatically selected, simply click and drag to draw a rectangular marquee or a lasso around it to automatically select it. After making your selection with the object selection tool, you can create a mask to isolate the selected area. This allows you to apply adjustments or edits specifically to the selected objects, giving you more control over image editing.
Really awesome. You see, do we have a quick selection video? There we go.
The quick selection tool is an easy way to make selections in your images, as it automatically finds and follows the edges within your image. This makes it ideal for selecting objects with well-defined boundaries. To adjust the size of the quick selection tool, you can use the brackets on your keyboard or adjust the size of the brush in the options bar. A larger brush size will allow you to make broader selections, while a smaller brush size will give you more precision. To use the quick selection tool, click and drag over the area you want to select. The tool will automatically follow the edges within the image. To add to the selection, hold the Shift key and click and drag over additional areas you want to include. To remove an area from the selection, hold Alt or Option and click and drag over the area you'd like to remove. Don't forget, you can easily access the quick selection tool by using the W key on your keyboard. This shortcut makes it even